Well, it's that time again. The time where everyone comes together to fight over which of the brand new consoles is better. That's right, the new 9th generation of consoles, that almost feels weird to say, is almost upon us. So now it seems like a perfect time to talk about which console actually provides you more horsepower for your money, and which console overall holds more value. And now more than ever, as these consoles are becoming more and more powerful and also more and more like a PC, now it seems like a perfect time to even ask questions like if it's even worth getting a console or whether you should just go with PC. However, just as it seems that consoles are just fading away thanks to PCs, well, they have quite a few more aces up their sleeves. So let's go over them, shall we? Now, when it comes to pure performance, the Xbox Series X runs away with it, as it provides over 12 teraflops compared to the 10 of the PS5. Now, in layman's terms, that simply means more graphical processing power, thus a smoother gaming experience, and also the ability for games to make use of way more complex geometry, textures, etc. for a way more visually pleasing experience. Now, seeing how big of a jump that is compared to the previous generation of consoles, that is definitely very big. And seeing how good some games already looked in the previous generation, then this is definitely very exciting, seeing how big of a jump it is. But in practice, how much of a difference will those two teraflops make? Well, from what we've been seeing so far, quite a bit. So far, both companies have been keeping very quiet on the exact capabilities of the machines regarding to FPS, resolution, and support for ray tracing. However, so far Sony also has been dropping hints that you will be able to have all three of them at the same time. And if you want to say experience ray tracing at a good frame rate, then your resolution will have to go down. And if you want a really high FPS, say like 120 FPS or higher, then your resolution also has to go down in what they're calling performance mode. However, we haven't had any reports like that from the Xbox Series X yet, so it looks like you have a bit more leeway there, with most reports stating that you should be able to enjoy gaming at 4K 60 FPS even with ray tracing on, which is always great to see. Now, they are able to gain those extra teraflops over the PS5, despite them being technically very similar consoles, by doing a few things. Firstly, the GPU has several more compute units compared to the PS5, even though they both use an RDNA 2 based chip. The CPU also toes a tad bit higher, and again they're both using a AMD Zen 2 based CPU, so basically a Ryzen 3000 equivalent CPU. Also, the Xbox Series X has 10GB of its RAM running on a much higher bandwidth, and that high importance memory with its higher bandwidth is able to thus supply the GPU and the CPU with way more data, thus also increasing the overall performance of the system. But let's talk about the one thing that the PS5 fanboys will just not start talking about: the SSD. Now, both consoles have semi-custom SSDs that are capable of some insane speeds compared to the previous generation. And the PS5 has speeds of over 5 GB a second, suggesting that it's some kind of PCIe Gen 4 based SSD. Now, in theory, that is a good thing, and definitely way higher than the throughput on the Xbox Series X SSD, but in reality, we're still not sure if developers will even take advantage of this fast SSD, because so far the promises we're getting related to SSD are all very well, let's say, too good to be true, and also depend a lot on what the developers will do. What they promise that this SSD will allow developers to do is completely change how they make the games. For example, they won't need to have sequences where you're just stuck in an elevator or in some empty room for a while as all the assets around you load. Plus, because of that high data rate, they'll be able to send uncompressed and much higher resolution textures over to the GPU. What does that mean? Well, that the overall texture quality of your games may increase greatly, because now they're able to stream over way higher quality textures. So even if the overall geometry of any given scene may not be as detailed as with the Xbox Series X because of the low overall performance, this additional quality in textures should at least add some, more eye candy to the scenes. But that's all a big should. That all depends on if developers will actually make use of it. If they'll actually create new high resolution uncompressed 4K 8K assets to work with this SSD. Because remember, now that even 8K gaming is becoming a thing, and the promoting these consoles as being, 8K capable, but that all depends on the developers, on whether or not they will actually create these high quality assets for the games that will actually take advantage of the SSD. So, seeing how the price for the standard PS5 and the Xbox Series X is the same, you're getting way more horsepower with the Xbox Series X. But both consoles, compared to even the price of a PC nowadays, offer pretty good value for the performance you get. Like with a PC, you would never get such good performance at the same budget. So it's still very impressive no matter what console you go with. But if you really want the best of the best for that budget, then the Xbox Series X is the way to go. But let's talk about its little brother, shall we? Because the Xbox Series S exists as well. And of course it has nowhere near as good specs as the PS5 or the Xbox Series X, but like with its big brother, you can just not get that kind of performance on a PC at the same budget, still making an absolutely great choice. And even though its price makes it more comparable to the PS5 Digital Edition, and in that case sure you're getting way more horsepower over the PS5, but for some people the price of the PS5 may still be a bit too much, and the Xbox Series S costs a bit less, and also has other advantages like, Xbox All Access and also Xbox Game Pass. So looking at it that way, which console offers the best overall value? Which will cost you less in the long term? And which console truly offers the best experience? Well, that'll have to wait for another video, and I'll be having one coming very soon talking about which one of these is actually better value and which one you should get. Whatever you do, remember one thing: console wars are done. So yes, the Xbox Series X is the faster console. There's not really much to it apart from that. But hey, I can't really, leave my video at that. So let's talk about my Patreon, shall we? It's a really good place to go because you earn $1 a month, goes a long way into supporting my channel and helps me make way better videos and also videos on way more interesting topics. And also I'd like to thank my patrons Gavin Burns and Eric OB for supporting this channel. Thank you ever so much, it really does mean a lot. Down in the video description below, you will also find a link to my Discord if you want to talk to me about this or whatever else really. And down there you also find our Amazon links if you want to buy literally anything. We get some of the money, you don't pay anything extra, it's a win-win. Truly, it's something magical. And also let me know what kind of next-gen console related topics you want me to cover in the future. I have quite a few videos about this coming up, I'm really excited for you to see them all. Because yeah, this is turning out to be a very interesting generation. So there's definitely going to be quite a few videos on the channel in the coming month, because they're literally just like a month, almost a month away at this point, which is like, when has this time gone by? I can still remember like it's yesterday when the Xbox One and the PS4 launched. I'm getting old, I don't want to think about that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, remember to subscribe, like, whatever, and I'll see you all in whatever I make next. Goodbye everyone, goodbye.